Hi and welcome to the Nudie Foodie. My name is Rain and today I'm going to show you how to make your own almond milk. So this is something I get asked about a lot. People seem to think that making almond milk is a bit of a mission or maybe it costs a lot. So I'm going to show you how ridiculously easy it is to make your own delicious almond milk. And I'm going to give you 3 reasons why you should be making your own. So number 1 reason is flavor. Making your own just tastes so much better than the store-bought ones. It's got a proper almond flavor and it's rich and creamy and it's full of good nutrients. Second reason is ingredients. So the ones that you buy in the shops often have additives that you don't actually want in your diet, such as emulsifiers, thickeners, maybe even flavorants, and not much real almond in it. Whereas when you make your own, it's got a lot of almond in and the other ingredients are clean, healthy ingredients too. Your third reason is cost. So you might think that making your own almond milk from nuts is going to be expensive because almonds can be pricey, but for example, if you're in South Africa, you're going to be paying between 150 and 220 Rand per kilo of almonds, depending on where you shop. So let's round that off to 200 Rand per kilo, and then you get between 7 and 8 liters of milk per kilo of almonds. So that works out to less than 30 Rand per liter of milk. Now that's on par with the cheapest brand of almond milk, and you probably are going to be buying the more expensive brand because it's better quality, so it works out the same or cheaper to make your own anyway, so you may as well do that. Okay, so before I show you how to make it, I'm just going to talk you through the equipment that you need and the prep that you need to do. The equipment is a high-speed blender. I have an OmniBlend Pro, which is an amazing blender, really good value for money, which you can get in South Africa. But any good strong blender will do the job. And then you need a nut milk bag, which is basically a muslin cloth which has been sewn into a bag and it has a drawstring at the top. And then you need a jug. Next up, for your prep, you're going to buy raw almonds. Now please make sure you don't buy roasted or salted almonds. They must be raw and plain. And then you're going to activate them. That means soaking the nuts in clean water for a minimum of 4 hours, maybe overnight. And the soaking removes phytic acid. So phytic acid naturally occurs in a lot of nuts and legumes, and it's what is known as an anti-nutrient. So that means it inhibits the absorption of vitamins and minerals, all the good nutrients in the nuts that you want your body to be able to absorb. So you definitely want to get rid of the phytic acid. So if you're making a liter of almond milk, you need a cup of almonds. So you could just soak 1 cup of almonds for 4 hours or overnight. But I'm going to tell you a little trick that I use that makes this a whole lot easier. And that is when I buy a kilogram of almonds, I soak the whole kilogram. So I get a nice big bowl, I put the nuts inside and I cover them with water. Make sure that they're well covered by the water because as they absorb the water, they are going to swell. And then you leave that for minimum 4 hours or overnight. Once they've finished soaking, you're going to rinse them really well to get all that dirty water and the phytic acid off. Drain all the water off, and now you're going to dry them. So I dry my nuts in my dehydrator, but don't worry if you don't have one, you can do it in an oven. So you will set your oven to a very low temperature, about 80 to 100 degrees Celsius, not any higher than that because you don't want to roast the nuts, you're just drying them out. Lay the nuts out on a roasting tray and then put them in the oven probably between 4 to 6 hours, depending on your oven and the temperature that you've chosen. In a dehydrator, it'll take about 12 to 18 hours, so you could just leave them in the dehydrator overnight and then they will be dry. Please make sure that the nuts are dry because if they're not completely dry and you store them for a while, they might start to mold. And the way that you know they're dry is that they become almost light and crispy and they crack open really easily. And so they've got a different texture to the plain raw almonds. And this is also really nice for snacking on or for putting them on salads. It's got a nice crispy texture. So with the activating of the almonds, I don't only do that for almond milk, I do it for everything. So I buy my kilogram of almonds, I soak them, I store them in a glass jar or any airtight container will do, in a cool dark place, so in your pantry cupboard. And then you can use those nuts for everything. So for almond milk, for making almond butter, for baking, for putting in smoothies, for what else might you do with your nuts? Put them on salads, just for snacking. So no matter what you're using your almonds for, you do want to activate them or soak them first so that you get rid of that phytic acid. Okay, so now that you have everything you need, I'll show you how to make the milk. So I put 950 mils of water in my blender. You could up that to a full liter or drop it down to 900 mils depending on how creamy you want the milk to be. I find that for me personally 950 mils is perfect. So with the 950 mils of water, you're going to use 1 cup of almonds. A cup is 250 mils. Okay, so add the nuts to the water, and then I'm going to add a pinch of salt. And that is your basic almond milk. So it's just water, the activated almonds, the salt. You could add 2 dates if you want to give it a little bit of sweetness, or maybe 2 drops of vanilla extract or a pinch of cinnamon if you want to give it a bit of flavor. But most of the time I just use the water, the nuts, the salt, and that's your plain almond milk. Depending on the strength of your blender, it'll take between 30 and 60 seconds to blend the nuts with the water. In the strong blender, it's only going to take 30 seconds. Okay, so it's all blended up. And you can see I've set up my nut milk bag, so I just opened up the drawstring and then place the bag into the jug and slip the string over the edge of the jug so that it's hanging suspended there, and then you can pour the milk through the bag. Okay, so what I like to do now is to hang the drawstring of the bag over something. So in your kitchen, maybe you have a kitchen cupboard with a knob that's over the counter, and you can just slip the string over that knob so that it hangs suspended over the jug. And just make sure that it is hanging over the jug so that you're not messing almond milk on the counter. And then you can leave that for a few minutes to start to strain while you go do something else. So maybe if you go get dressed or make your breakfast, and that'll just run through. And once it's run through and there's not as much liquid running through, then you can start to squeeze it. If you don't have somewhere to hang the bag up, don't worry about it. You can just hold the bag over a jug or over a bowl even and squeeze it out like that. I've left my bag to hang for 2 minutes, and I'm going to start to squeeze it. So starting at the top, you're going to squeeze down just to get any moisture that's in the top of the bag to run down into the jug. And then from there, I'm going to start to twist the bag so you can see all the milk squeezing through, giving you beautiful, rich, creamy, healthy almond milk. And then just keep squeezing in a downwards movement, and at the same time twisting the bag so that you're making it tighter and tighter, so you'll have a ball of the pulp at the bottom. And the more you squeeze down and twist the bag, the more you'll get the moisture out. So just keep on squeezing until you've got every last little drop of milk out. And that's it, you're done. So I like to store my almond milk in a glass bottle in the fridge. It'll last in the fridge for about 3 or 4 days. Honestly, mine never lasts that long because I drink it all before then. But yeah, 3 or 4 days before it might start to go a little bit sour. And you can use your almond milk for coffee, for cereal, for making oats. You can add it to smoothies, you can use it for baking. There's just so many uses for your almond milk. Basically, wherever you would normally use dairy milk, you can replace with the almond milk. And if you're wondering what to do with the pulp that's left over in the bag, you don't need to throw it away. What I do with mine is I put it in my dehydrator. So once again, you can use your oven at a low temperature, and I dry it out completely. And then once it's dry, I put it in the blender, spin it around just for a couple of seconds to break up any clumps. And then that's my almond flour, which I use for all my baking. So now it's becoming even more cost efficient, because from your kilogram of almonds, you're getting 7 to 8 liters of milk. And then you're also getting a whole lot of almond flour, which you can use for your baking. So just to show you what the pulp looks like now, it might be in big clumps like this because you've squeezed all the moisture out. So you're just going to break it up And then you can spread it out over a roasting tray or baking sheet. Maybe place a silicone liner or some baking paper down on the tray, and then put the almond flour on top, the almond pulp on top, and then dry it out until you have your almond flour. So you can spin it around in a blender or a food processor to break up the clumps, and you'll have a very fine flour to use for your baking. So that's it, so quick and easy. I hope that makes you realize that it's really not a mission to make your own almond milk. Give it a try and let me know what you think. And if there's anything else you'd like me to show you, let me know by dropping a comment below. 15 Rand a litre. Did I do that right? I forgot to calculate it. Okay, I'm going to start that again. So that's 2 reasons. Okay, go start again.